Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to dual boot Windows and Linux. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first step is to get the USB drives with the OS installers ready. For this, we're going to start with Windows, but if you already have Windows and you don't want to reinstall it, you can skip this step and get straight to the Linux installation media process. So for this, I'm going to make a Windows 10 USB drive. So in the link in the description, you will have here the Windows 10 media creation tool on Microsoft's website to make a Windows 10 USB drive. I'll also put a link for Windows 8 media creation tool. If you want to install Windows 7, you'll have to make that on your own or use a pre-existing disk. So download the tool, the same process for Windows 10 and 8, and then run it, and click yes on the user account control. This will take a little bit, but then you're going to be prompted to the end user license agreement screen. You might want to read it, but then once you are done, you want to go to the next prompt by clicking the next button. So here's the license terms, so you might want to read it or not, and then click accept, and you're going to get to the next screen. Here you want to click on create installation media and click next. Then get and set your language, edition, and architecture. Make sure to have a USB drive with at least 8 GB of storage ready. So click USB flash drive and select your drive, and make sure to back up all your files since everything will get deleted. Okay, while Windows 10 gets downloaded, we're going to get ready for Linux. So go to the Rufus link in the description. This is the tool that will allow us to get that ISO and put it onto a USB drive ready. So download Rufus Portable by clicking on it, and then click on Save File. With that done, go to the Linux distro website to download your Linux ISO. For this, I'm going to use Ubuntu, but you can use anything like Kali Linux, Fedora, Linux Mint, or Zorin OS. So on the Linux page, you want to go ahead and click on Download. Here we're going to get to Ubuntu Desktop. And here you will notice you have two versions, one marked LTS, that stands for long-term support, and it gets updates and patches for the next 5 years. The other version has a shorter lifespan, but you could get that as well. Now I recommend you to get the LTS since that has programs better optimized and it's a much more stable build. So click on the version to download the ISO, and then click on Save File. Now I'm going to pause the download for Linux, and we're going to wait for Windows to completely download before we resume. Okay. So we're going to wait for Windows to completely get downloaded. This will take a while depending on your internet connection. Now it will start verifying our download, so right now we can go ahead and resume the Linux downloading. This process might take a while. The next screen is creating the Windows 10 media. Now I'm going to fast forward. This is actually the process when the data gets written on your USB drive. So once you get past this step, you're going to get to a screen that says that your USB drive is ready. So then you can click on Finish and unplug your drive. Next, we're going to make the Linux installation media. So once it finishes downloading, you want to open up Rufus and click Yes on the user account control. Here you want to select your USB drive with at least 4 GB of storage and with your data backed up. Then select your ISO, and for partition scheme go for MBR, and if you get any errors during installation, go for GPT. But you should go for MBR. Then for the file system, use FAT32, but if you get any errors, you might switch to NTFS. With all the settings dialed in, then you can click on Start. Click Yes, and then click OK. Then this process might take from 5 to 15 minutes. So wait for your USB drive to get ready, and once that's done, you can click Close and then unplug your drive. The next step is actually installing Windows. Now you don't need to do this if you already have Windows and you don't want to reinstall it. So now, once your computer boots up, click on the Delete key on a desktop to enter the BIOS or the key that your manufacturer set up on a laptop. Then on the BIOS, select the order as UEFI for your USB drive, then your USB drive in legacy mode as the second option. Then save and exit. Once your computer resets, you're going to get into the Windows installation. Now on the screen, you want to select and make sure that it's the correct language to install. Then select the time and currency format. And then select your keyboard layout. And then click Next. Then click Install Now. And on the next screen, you'll be prompted to introduce your product key. Now for now, I'm going to skip this step and put it later. Select your Windows Edition and click Next. I accept the license terms and click Next. And then you want to click on Custom. So I note that drive 1 is my SSD because it's the only one that has a 200 gigs partition. So I'm going to delete all the pre-existing partitions so that we can get from the scratch with our SSD. Okay, so at this point, we're going to create a new partition and I'm going to make this around 195 gigabytes for Windows since it requires a bigger amount. That will leave around 40 to 45 gigabytes left for Linux. Once you click Apply, your partition will get created, also with some system reserved partitions for Windows. Now, if you already had another operating system, the Windows installer might not detect all kinds of partitions like the exe4 for Linux. So once the partition gets created, formatted, and selected, okay, so with it selected, we're going to click Next. Now, the Windows installer will do its thing. This might take some time, so you want to be patient. Once the time passes, it will reboot several times. So just be patient, and around the second or third reboot, you're going to get prompted with the next screen where you actually need to configure things. So now just select your region. Okay, so that's correct, and then click Yes. Then select your keyboard layout and click Yes. You might want to add secondary layout, but I'm going to skip for now. If you want, you can connect to the internet, but I'm going to skip. Now I'm not going to connect. No. And the computer will reboot again. Okay, so on this screen, I'm going to just make a user for the computer. Now, if you connected to the internet, you might also connect to your Microsoft account, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go for a local account. And now, I'm not going to enable activity history. Do not use online speech recognition. Do not let Microsoft to access your location. Do not find my device. Don't send data to Microsoft. Do not improve. Don't get tailored experiences, and don't let your advertising ID to be used. Now, you just want to be patient, and the installer will do the rest. Once that's done, you'll get to the Windows desktop. So right here back on the laptop, I'm gonna get and download all the drivers and program installers that I need and put them on a flash drive to install on the machine. This is no big deal, it's just a matter of clicking next, next, and next. So let's get to installing Linux. So again, with the flash drive plugged in, enter your BIOS. And then select the same boot order. The first one will be UEFI for your USB drive, and then the second one will be also your USB drive but in legacy mode. And then save and reset. Then click on Install Ubuntu. Now, for your Linux distribution, it might be different, but it's kind of the same process. So now I'm going to explain the process for Ubuntu, but you might find similarities and you want to use the same settings where possible, no matter the distribution you're using. So select your language and click on Continue. Then select your keyboard layout. I'm going to go for a normal installation and tick those two boxes. You might want to read what that is if you didn't find out already, and click Continue. Now on this will take a bit longer until it will get to the next step. Now where you want to pay close attention to what I'm doing, no matter the distro, is where I'm setting up the partitions. So right there, you don't want to click anything like overwrite Windows or install alongside Windows or anything that it will prompt you. You want just to click on something else or custom. Okay, so right here you can see all these things we're talking about. So click on something else. And now it's going to list all the partitions. Now I know SDA is my hard drive, my 1 terabyte hard drive. So that means SDB is my SSD. And now I know that's the 1 terabyte hard drive because it has big partitions on it. So I'm going to delete all the partitions that I previously made. So we get to the same configuration we had in the Windows installer. So right now you can see on the SDB, which is my SSD, I have all the partitions were listed in the Windows installer. So I'm gonna make a 43 gigabyte partition for Linux, mounted point / and put it ext4. So you can see those are the partitions just that Windows created when we installed it, and we just created a new partition. Then make one for swap space. So I'm gonna make this around 2 gigs. What the swap space is the space on the drive that Linux will use as RAM when you run out of RAM. As Windows uses a Windows paging file system, we're gonna use the swap area. So now device bootloader, put your drive, and then click on install now, and continue. Now select your time zone and create a user account. And I'm going to delete the rest in the computer name and put Linux. So now choose a password and take note of what your password is and remember it, because you're going to use this when you're going to install software, especially higher privileged one. So once the time passes, you're going to get to this screen where it says installation complete, and then you can click on reboot now and remove your USB drive. Once the computer reboots, you're going to get to the following screen which is called the grub. Here you can select the operating system and click enter. If you don't click anything, it will select the first option automatically after 10 seconds. So let's boot Ubuntu. So yeah guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, click that subscribe button. So see you next time on HowToIT.